because they had impregnated somebody, and now once the people are pregnant, there is no way that they can run away from school, away from maybe their homes, and the only reason and the only way to resort to is the issue about early marriage. And some of them get married when they are not even prepared, which is really a big concern, should also really be a big concern to you, because if you look at what is happening more so in the rural setting, you will know that people below the age of 20 years are getting married, and really this is also really, you don't understand that by law this is acceptable, but really where we are seeing people below the age of 18 getting married is a really big concern. But really if you move in the rural settings, you realize that girls below the age of 18 are getting married after conceiving. The parents sometimes pack them and take them to also really where they're supposed to be. This is also really a big concern, where sometimes we need to sit down with the parents and we need to sit down with the other stakeholders and discuss and forge ways as well as to also really avert some of these challenges, and so that these girls who are getting married, maybe who are getting pregnancy by mistakes, will also really be avoided. And looking at what the parent who has also really filed maybe a lawsuit against the school, you would have the court has also been moved, that is to make a declaration that the school's actions of subjecting the pupil, that is to a mandatory pregnancy test without the consent of her parents, was also really a violation of her right to be cared for by the parent, provided under action, that is Article 34 subsection 1 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda 1995 as amended. And this is also something that we are seeing on the past morning, because really for somebody to be subjected at that age, that is to pregnancy test, it must also really be with the recommendation of the parent, and this is also really a violation. How will this maybe at the end of the day end? Is the school going to win the case? Definitely we are yet following up. And maybe could the parent also really be understanding why these laws also really we are against maybe her daughter's privacy, and that is already something we shall be able to remind you at the end of the day, if at all this court case maybe climaxes. And court documents show that in September 2023, the school carried out mandatory pregnancy test on the victim and discovered that she was pregnant, and 17-year-old girl says the pregnancy test was done through extreme manual kneading, also really or physical pressing of her lower stomach, which action she argues in the lawsuit amounted to cruel treatment. And that's something we are yet following up at the papers this morning. And shortly after the filing of the lawsuit, the father of the victim claimed that the expulsion of her school daughter from the school had an adverse effect on her mental health, and that is also really a reason as to why they intend to sue the school. And moreover, he claimed that the school has ruined her daughter's future, reasoning that she was a promising child, and that is something we did see maybe the parent also really basing his argument on. And Miss Betty Balisamu, the executive director that's of WWM, said during the process of being subjected to mandatory pregnancy test, the victim confessed and to have gone through that is also really extensive pain, shame, stigma, and humiliation. And this is also something that this girl was able to reveal to the stakeholders. And Ms. Salamu said there is need, that is for Mali, certain provisions which revision under 2020 guidelines on the prevention and management of teenage pregnancies in school settings was also really being violated in there. And these are violations that we are talking about, because if you really look at how the girl child is supposed to be protected, and this is actually where the parents also need to put more emphasis in talking to this girl, also really more than also really the boy child, because the girl child is more vulnerable. And this is also really a reason as to why parents today need to sit down with the girls. And this is also a reason as to why they need to provide, because if you do not provide for these girls, they will look for alternative means, and which alternative means is for them to actually obtain the money from boys who may also at the end of the day take advantage of them. And sometimes we're also not saying boys alone, we also do understand that some men are also really very bad at taking advantage of these young girls, and this is also through giving them the money to entice them into their bad activities, which at the end of the day results that is into early pregnancies. Also we have diseases which are there, and this is also really a reason as to why parents need to continue talking to the girl child. What is the school authority saying about the lawsuit? And now we are seeing, when contacted by journalists, the management of the school, the head teacher, that is Jane Vincent Jamori, denied allegations of having expelled the victim, and he said the victim reported for term 3 pregnant, and the school management committee accommodated her, including that is also allowing her to sit for her promotional examinations. And that is already a reason as to why maybe the school is denying these allegations, and may at the end of the day, who is going to be victorious in this case? That is already something we shall be able to maybe follow till the end. And he said the victim reported for term 3 pregnant, but the school, however, also really accommodated the case. Also, the girl was able to be allowed to continue sitting with the examination. The teacher said, being professional teacher and a parent who is acquainted with the law, he couldn't deny the victim her right, that is to education, and therefore they did not also really expel the girl. But maybe what happened at the end of the day, that is also something we want to understand. If at all the parents are saying the girl was expelled, which was against her right to education, And now, in the other hand, the school is denying having expelled this girl. What shows? Maybe what proof is the parent having? These are things that we shall be able to look out for in this case. And that is something we shall be able to follow. And he said the victim could have felt that is out of place in the school and just vanished. That is since she had a big belly and was looking different from her peers. And that is also really a reason as to why the parents are saying, the school authorities are saying they did not expel the girl. Rather, the girl could have expelled herself. That is because of shame, first of all. And secondly, the big belly had started showing, and this, you know how girls can always be. And for those who have been in schools where we also saw girls who have gotten pregnant, you would realize that sometimes they wear sweaters, and a clear sign of a girl who is pregnant in schools is actually the manifestation of wearing sweaters. You realize a girl who was not wearing sweater before, now they will also change. That is also starting putting on big pullovers, and that is already a clear manifestation that these girls could be pregnant. And that is also something we did see while in primary school in Arua City here. I must remind, these are things that we saw with some of the girls who are pregnant, and that's something we want to also really remind our girls of. Let's not also indulge in these activities. Let's wait till we maybe reach marriage. That would also really help us avoid these tendencies of early pregnancy, which we don't want. I believe most of them do not actually want the pregnancies. It only becomes also really by accident, as they usually claim. But what is the solution to that? Definitely, we need to look out for that solution as we continue with the show. And the RDC, what is the RDC of that Busia district saying? The district commissioner, that's for Busia, Mr. Michael Chibuika, held the parents for the action taken, and he believes the girl would also really be given that is also really the clear treatment, which is really as a result of the violation of our rights. And that's something we shall be able to solely follow up on, as we still have lots more other topics. But you can also share your opinion as well on what you think is also really happening between the school and the parents. Is this also something that is not happening within your villages, or within your districts, within your other vicinities? You can also really share your opinions on that by only telling us maybe what you think that we need also, maybe the school needs to do. And that's something we shall be able to certainly look out for in the papers this morning. And there's a student who has been shot relatedly in a Patch district while in school protest. This is also something we are seeing on the papers this morning. Remember, today we just started the discussions with also what is happening within the education sector, because without education, surely we shall have a ruined life. And that is something we want to also a reason as to why we chose to start off the discussions right from what is happening in the world of education. And one student is nursing serious injuries in hospital after he was shot by police deployed to disperse. That is a protest that's at Apache Seed Secondary School in Apache District, where Walter, a 19-year-old, was reportedly hit in both legs as he tried to flee the school upon the arrival of police officers who were deployed to contain the rowdy students during the Tuesday protest. And that's something we want to say. The students need to also desist from tendencies of this protest, because these are things that we have often seen even right in Western sub-region. And these are things that last year spread like bushfire, where we did see the fire, also the riots moving from one place to another, where they spread like bushfire. You will know that most of the schools also really had a result, as a result of maybe wanting to copy from what was happening in the other school. We did see also really the strikes spreading from one school to another, which was really very bad. At the end of the day, the burden of these riots that is on the parents, which also really was also really a negative repercussion to them. And that is something I want to remind you of, and I want to say, let's desist from those tendencies as students, as stakeholders. Let's avoid riots. There are better means that we can also really use, that is to avoid these tendencies. And remember, recently we did have a meeting that is with the bishop, that is of our Catholic Diocese, that is Right Reverend Sabino Chanodoki, where he asked the students to use better means as alternatives to the riots that we did see last year. And he actually called upon the students to uphold, that is the dignity of their schools and themselves, which is also really in respect to the core values of society, and that would also really at the end of the day act as a solution that is to the challenges. And yesterday we did also see a number of maybe activities also really going on. I will be able to remind you of what the RDCs, and these are the assistant RCCs, what they were exactly able to do as they were traversing a number of schools in Western sub-region, and I will be reminding you that later on. But he was also discovered, that is according to information we are receiving, that the student was discovered bleeding in a nearby bush by fellow students and was rushed to a park nursing school, that is a park nursing home, a private health facility that is in the district. That's where he is currently receiving, that is medical treatment. And so the students also staged a protest. That's at the government-owned school located, that's in the park subsequent in the wee hours of Tuesday, after the institution's management suspended one of their colleagues for allegedly missing a morning parade. That is really a reason as to why maybe they were protesting. And the students also really now, as maybe have been sent home, we are yet following up on that. If at all, this would also really be quite good. But strikes and demonstrations will never be a solution, but rather we can use the leaders who we elected to front your ideas. This is a reason as to why the head prefects are being elected. Maybe the class monitors, right from the class monitor level, I believe if at all these prefects can be able to front your ideas and your concerns, that would be rather good, instead of resorting to strikes, which is never a solution. And that's the district police commander, Mr. Rogers Kapere, confirmed the shooting, saying some indisciplined students tried to attack police, prompting them to fire bullets in the air, but really firing in the air. How did it reach in the legs? These are the questions that we are asking ourselves, and that's also really a reason as to why police needs to come out clearly to explain that. Alele's father, that's Mr. Jimmy Francis Ojwang, has asked that is the school to pay for his son's injured medical bills, and that's already something we are yet following up on, and we want to see how this issue will climax and how it will be, it may be ending, as we want to see this also issue, maybe this student getting justice, because there is no way which permits shooting of these people. These are students, and there is no need for police actually to use guns on them, because these are not maybe rebels, people who are armed. These are unarmed students, and that's also a reason as to why issues related to that is maybe using guns on these students need to be avoided, because that is also a reason that would be able to result into more strikes. Because if you're really shooting somebody, you are going to create a negative image, and which would also not be quite well. At the end of the day, this would also really ruin the reputation that is of both stakeholders, because if people are going to look at police as people who are killers, and that would also really be very bad one. And as we continue with issues related to education this morning, angry parents of that's Omach Primary School in Ngai Sub-County in Oyam District on Wednesday stormed the Catholic-founded education institutions and locked the head teacher that is also in his office. And this is also a reason as to why we are seeing what is really happening in the education sector at a time where we are expecting the learners to return back home. Because if you really move in most of the schools, I was able to yesterday take a look and walk in most of the schools together with the newly appointed RCCs, and you will realize that most of the schools are doing examinations, and that means that we are expecting them very soon to come back home. But really, what is happening, really, if you realize what is happening within the education sector, trust me, what is happening in there is not really very good in some of the schools. But really, what could be the challenge? These are things that we need to ask ourselves, and also really draw solutions to that will be well and good. And business at the school came to a standstill after the parents vowed never to allow Mr. Tom Richard Odongo out of the office unless he gave a clear explanation as to why their children were denied the examinations. And that is already a reason as to why we need to understand, because these angry parents also really, we were also maybe fighting for their rights, because for a child to be denied examination, that is already also really a denial of a right to education, which is really against the law, because human rights not permit that. Human rights also really have that impact also, where we need to see there's right for education being respected, and that is already something we are saying. If at all these parents lock the student, but really, is that the right way to go? Couldn't they use alternative means, maybe of rushing to court? These are things that also really we want to ask ourselves out of this morning, but really you too can also still share your opinion. This is something also really we want to see at the end of the day being addressed. And the furious education stakeholders accuse the head teacher that's of running a school as his personal business, and also really of being incompetent there. Mr. Jimmy Anyuar Dolo, the LC3's chairman, that is of Dolo the areas, also say the trouble started after the head teacher blocked, that is 11 primary 5 pupils who from sitting, that is the end of the year examinations, end of term examinations, which resulted to these parents storming his office there. And he said the teacher earlier brought inadequate examination papers and administered them to the learners. Sadly, some P5 pupils missed out the papers, and that is the reason as to why the parents stormed maybe the school. But really, if at all these students and the parents fulfill the right, the conditions which they were required to see these papers, but why would you deny them? These are things that also really we want to ask ourselves of this morning. At this point, the deputy head teacher then brought additional examination papers and allowed the pupils to sit for their exams, and that is something we want to see. And Mr. Walter Okelo, the Gombolola internal security officer of Ngai Sub-County, said the learners went back to their respective homes and returned with their parents that same day, which was on Wednesday, and that's something that at the end of the day resulted in that strike by locking the head teacher in the office. And Father John Odongo of Ngai Catholic Parish confirmed the parents locked up the head teacher in his office, and the deputy head teacher and his boss have been also seen in a sour relationship with the head teacher, which was also really affecting educational performance of the school. And that's something maybe we want to see really being addressed. And Miss Mercy Akite, the Omak senior woman teacher, expressed fear that if the matter is not amicably handled, it could affect the performance of the learners more. And this is something also really we want to see be addressed quickly, if at all the education stakeholders of that area reunite and draw answers to this. That would result into drawing answers which would also answer the questions as to why the sour relationship between some of the stakeholders, more so the education authorities, maybe the leaders in the school, would also be able to be addressed. If at all this maybe could result in transfers, let transfers be done, let them be divided. That would also really act as a solution, because if at all they continue to work in good relationship, that would also really still affect the education performance of the school. Mr. Augustine Opok, the Mark School Management Committee chairperson, said the Office of the District Education Officer has said the matter will be handled at the district level, and as they are really already into investigations of the matter, that will be quite well and good. And the teacher declined to comment on the matter, saying it was being handled by the DEO, and really that is also something we are yet following up on. The DEO, Francis Oleke Olchero, told Lira Best Vios, that's journalist, that the matter had reached that is the attention, adding that he had also one of the inspectors to get a report from that same day. And Mr. Oleke said meeting to find holistic solution to the problem was said to take place due on Thursday, April 25th of 2024. And by press time yesterday, the matter was really undergoing that is answers, and really that is something that brings us to the end of the first hour and the first quarter of the first hour, and we shall be bouncing back shortly. This is the Kokoliriko Live on Western Television. In case you're just joining us right now, you are most welcome aboard from wherever you chose to watch us this early morning, and really we are already here to give you what is happening across the country and also really internationally, because we do not limit our discussions to what is happening in Western Sub-region alone. We cut across the whole country and the entire world, and that is already a reason as to why you need to be part of the show. But for now, let's first have this short commercial breather, and we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that short commercial breather, and we are back to also give you what is happening in the world of current affairs. And remember, we cut across all the sectors of life. We do not only limit our discussions to one area, and that is also a reason as to why you need to continue being part of the show. And that is also a reason as to why you must continue watching West Nile Television, because we are here to enlighten the region. And really, for us to enlighten the region, it calls for concerted efforts, and that means I cannot do it alone, but rather we have to do it together with you. And how can you ensure that you be part of that? That is quite simple, by only commenting on our various feedback generating platforms. For those of you streaming us online via Facebook, you can drop your comment there, the comment section. For those of you streaming us on YouTube, you can also really as well still drop your comment there, and that will be very, very good. And remember, yesterday we did take a tour in some of the schools within a rural city, and this is by also really the newly appointed, that is the resident city and district commissioners of the place. And these are the assistant resident district commissioners who have also really been appointed recently by the head, by the office of the president, that is to also really assist, that is the resident district city commissioners, where over 300 people have been appointed across the country, that is to also really, among others, to perform, that is mainly 3 responsibilities which they have been charged, which among others include, that is to fight corruption, secondly to promote patriotism, and thirdly that is to also really support government programs. And remember, all these are really to be championed by the assistant RCCs who have also really been appointed, that is recently, by the office of the president. And yet yesterday we did take a walk in some of the schools, that is to spread the gospel that is about patriotism, and definitely we shall also really maybe also remind you of what they also really did. And most of the schools we went to, for instance, we went to our public secondary school, where the team, that is where Matua Job, the newly appointed assistant RCC for Arua City, went, and he was welcomed, that is by a team that is also really of the stakeholders, and which included the head teacher, that is to our public secondary school, where Dramatic Maxwell, the teacher of the school, welcomed him and assured him that they are already implementing what the government is talking about patriotism. Because if you look at what patriotism, and that is also something, somebody out there may not be able to understand what patriotism is all about. And if you can be able to remind you about patriotism, this is one's love for the country. That means that you have to love being Ugandan. That is also a reason as to why you may be called a patriot. And the patriot is somebody who loves the country, and the government is of the view that for those who, if this gospel and the doctrine of that patriotism can be spread, that is among the members of the public, that would also act as a solution, that is to addressing the concerns related to corruption in the country today. Because if you really look at what is happening in the country today, so many people are also complaining about corruption, because corruption continues to linger in the minds of people, and that is the reason as to why now the stakeholders want to work together. And I believe at the end of the day, if at all these people continue to work together, that would also really act as a solution to the corruption tendencies among the civil servants, and maybe among the people who are sometimes also really holding the offices. That would be well and good. And could it be the magic bullet? That is already a question that we are asking ourselves. That is with the appointment of the newly RCCs, who are going to be working as assistant resident district city commissioners, and these have been appointed at various capacities. And in Arua City we did receive 2 of them. That is also one for Central Division, and the other who is also really going to be working with the Ivo Division. And the one for Ivo yesterday went to Vara Senior Secondary School, and also already went to some of the schools that is within Ivo Division. And this, he was in a company that is by a top official, that is under the office of the president, where we did see also a gentleman identified as Busula Colonel, who came all the way from Kampala, that is who is also the liaison officer, that is at the National Corps, that is under office of the president. That also we did see him also really being so able to accompany the RCCs there to also really spread the gospel, that is of patriotism, where he did hand over documents and books also that comprised of patriotism messages. That is some of the schools that we did visit together with him. And he was at Vara Senior Secondary School, where he was also really welcomed by the head teacher, that is Matua Eliakim, that's Onyiga, who is the teacher of the school, where the teacher also similarly as well also assured him that is as the Vara Senior Secondary School, they're already implementing what the message about patriotism is all about. For them, they also they have taken it, where they have a patriotism club already in place, where they also have a square where gospel and doctrine about patriotism can be spread, and that is only where they do their things. And they have often been able to request for training, that is for the students also really about also the patriotism thing we're talking about. Because if you talk about being a patriot, it means that you love your country. And Busulua Colonel, who is actually the liaison officer that is under for Patriotism Corps Uganda, and officer the president says for them they want to also really see that treat that students and others maybe learners from right from the primary primary levels are taught about patriotism, so that also they love their country, and once they love their country, they will not also want to harm their country, because for one who loves maybe the country, definitely they will not be able to think about wanting to maybe harm them. That's a reason as to why they want to fight corruption and other bad vices right from that is primary level, and this is also a reason as to why they want to spread the gospel of that is patriotism. And this will not only be maybe remaining at the primary and secondary schools. They also promise that they will go with the campaign up to the other higher learning institutions, and this is also to spread that gospel, so that also the learners, before getting the office, maybe before getting into the various capacities where they will be able to be given jobs, they will not be able to mind of corruption, because they already love their country, and that is already a reason as to why they are coming up with the issue of patriotism in the schools. And that is already something that we shall be able to follow, and we want to see if at all this can be the magic bullet, that this could be maybe the answer and the solution which government has been waiting to also address the concern that is in relation to corruption. And that is something we want to follow, and we shall be able to remind you of that at the end of the day. And we want to see that maybe answered. If at all it is well answered, we may see corruption also already being be kicked out, because if you look at among other duties which is also already there, they have also the mandate that is to fight other bad practices, and they also really have to promote government programs. And today you know that government has come up with several projects. For instance, PDM, government has already come up with also really other government initiatives that which are all intended that is to also really support maybe the masses move out of poverty, and that's a reason as to why these people have been appointed. And if you look at what is happening, and today you see that government has a number of projects which are all aimed that is also elevating and improving on the livelihoods of the citizens. Look at the PDM, where we are seeing people getting at least 1 million, and remember 1 million can also be the answer. It could also change your entire life. People who are serious with the money, I believe now they are also really earning big, because we have seen a woman whose story recently we ran on the paper on the show as well, where the husband disappeared for 13 years only for him to return after the woman had gotten the PDM money and was really reaping big from the PDM money now. And this is also really something we want to tell each and everybody out there. Let's not eat the money. Let's not think that it's politics money as many people think about it, because if you really move into the villages, maybe in the rural areas, you will realize that some of the people think that this money of PDM and Imyoga plus the rest of the government initiatives that are aimed at elevating the status of the people are meant for politics, and that's also a reason as to why some people get the money and misuse, which is really quite wrong, because today you realize we have mothers who have been named, that's Mama PDM. We have children who have been named PDM in the villages. That is also a reason as to why we want to say this money is meant for you to also really uplift your status. It is a revolving fund which you need to also really refund back. Now that is also a reason as to why these people have been appointed, and they have to champion that is already such that people also really take advantage and protect these programs seriously, and that will at the end of the day also really act as a solution. And we are following up on that, and we want to see maybe if this matter is addressed, and if at all the people also really take government programs seriously, because we want to see people really becoming very wealthy, and really want to see people now surviving at least by obtaining the 3 meals per day, which is already the that's government target, because some people can hardly afford these 3 decent meals. That is the reason as to why government is of the view let this people be supported through giving them the PDM money. But it's really quite unfortunate where some people misuse the monies, and very soon we shall see them also really running away from the country, maybe also really be involved in running battles with security agencies during the recovery of this money. But that is also something we do not want to see, because this is a revolving fund which you are supposed to be able to return it back. That is also something that can also be extended to the other people who have not gotten the money, and that is already where the issue of mindset change is very much key, and we are following up on that, and we want to see if this matter can be addressed once and for all. And this is also really a challenge and a reason as to why these have been appointed, and these were also who are yet awaiting that to be vetted, and really we have seen them kick-starting with the work. They do not want to waste time, and for them they have said they are here to also really do what brought them, and that is also a reason as to why we did see Job Matua, who actually went on to apologize to the poor of Western Sub-region, because for quite a long period of time he wasn't able to also really be with the people of the sub-region, and that's also a reason as to why for him he said he wants to apologize, because now he's returning back home to also really organize home, and he wants to leave home a better place. And that's also a reason as to why he's coming, and he promised that is to fight corruption at the highest level, and he has also really promised to work with all the stakeholders in achieving this, because it may be respect of the colors. That is a reason as to why he says he's going to work with the FDC, and he intends to work with the other political groups, with NUP, with other political parties, and he wants wants to incorporate all people such that also the issues of corruption is kicked out, because he has realized that maybe for corruption to be kicked out, there's need for everybody to work together, and that's also a reason as to why he says he is going to be working with everybody in terms of solely kicking corruption out. But really, what do you think about their leadership? And as many people have expressed mixed reactions about these people's appointments. First of all, many people are saying the speed in which they're taking their work is too much. They are likely to fail with the mafias. Are we going to be seeing that happening? Definitely, I do not know, and I also do not know who exactly the mafias are. This is according to information from members of the public, but really we are yet following up on, and we want to see these people also really realize the dream of the president, because we are going to be seeing them paid using taxpayers' money. At the end of the day, we want to see the services back. And what returns are we expecting out of them? First of all, we want to see corruption kicked out of Uganda. That is also already where the issue about patriotism is very, very much important, because they have also been appointed that is to promote patriotism. And yesterday, we did see them moving in the schools, and they're moving in public spaces, telling them that they need to love their country, because once at all you love your country, you will not be able to think about harming them. It's just like you loving somebody. If you love maybe a woman, definitely there's no way you are going to be thinking about hurting them. For those who are females, if you love a man, definitely there's no way you would also really want to hurt the man. And that's also really a reason as to why patriotism message is very, very much important, and we are yet following up on that, and we want to see everybody becoming a patriot, including me and you who is watching us right now. We want to say we all have to become patriots. And if at all we love Uganda, people who have been stealing our money would also really avoid, because they will now love the country. Money which would have been stolen under corruption can now go into services. We want to see the medical facilities having the drugs. We want to see our roads being developed, because if you look at our roads today, because I believe of issues of maybe being non-patriotic, we are seeing our roads being in dilapidated status. We are seeing our medical facilities lacking the essential drugs, and really we are seeing our schools also really lagging behind in terms of infrastructure development. That all this will be addressed if at all we obtain, maybe we develop the love that is for one's country, which is the message about patriotism. That would also really be well good. And really, what do you think about these things? Definitely, you should also really share your opinions with us. You should maybe think maybe your ideas on what you think. Definitely in the second hour we shall be able to go through them. But really, as we continue with the show, yesterday we also did see a special council sitting that is also really involving stakeholders. That's in relation to the waste management bill, where they were also really engaged. That is to pick up their ideas, and this was also really at the Arua City Council Hall. And this is something we want to see, because I believe it has been long overdue without the bill also really, which is also really there to deal with the solid and waste management, which has also really been very, very much a concern. If you move in Arua City today, you realize most of the areas have been very, very much dirty, and I believe this is because of the result of lack of the waste management bill, which now is coming in place. And for those who have been littering anyhow, you must be worried now, because this law is going to catch up with you, and there are heavy punishments and heavy fines which you will have to pay, so that also really you disease from tendencies. And now the enforcement is also actually where also we are going to be seeing people having problems, because we want to see the law being enforced. And I really want to say we want to see Arua City championed and also be called a clean city once again, because at one time we were talking about Arua City being one of the cleanest cities. And what happened? And this is something we want to also really follow up on, because Arua City at one time, by then, was still a town and a municipality. And we're also being told Arua municipality by then was very, very clean. And really what happened? Maybe these are things that as to why we need the law very, very much soon. And we need to also really see to that the council passes it, and so that also the ordinance will be able to also really address concerns also really in relation to what we're talking about. If you look at maybe how people have been littering, sometimes you move in the drainage parts, you find people have littered garbage there. Sometimes people move from their apartments and dump the garbage in the city center, which is really quite unfortunate. And if you realize that today we don't have so many companies also really doing up the picking of these garbages and cleaning the city, but really the entire burden goes to these women who always have to come up early in the morning and also really see to that they collect the garbage. And what is really happening at the waste management plant is already where the concern is, because if really we have realized that also really once this garbage is taken and sorted, is not unsorted, and the medical bill also really, and the waste management bill also really, among others, so wants to see to that the garbage is sorted right from the source. And that's really where people need to sort. Maybe if at all you are seeing that these are non-decomposable and these are decomposable goods, you have to sort them right from that is the source. For those who maybe who will be affected by this law, we want to remind you that for those who will also really wish not to be caught up by this law, then definitely you must also really start adjusting your belts now. You must start maybe making changes to see to that you, by the time this law is passed, definitely you already also maybe implementing it. Because if you look at what is happening with our neighboring cities, which are said to be the cleanest today, for instance, Mbale city, if you really look at Fort Portal, these are clean cities. But how did they reach also already that climax of also being identified as the clean cities? Definitely, as people, as leaders of our city continue to admire our neighbors, Gulu City, then definitely the entire responsibility goes on to you who is watching us, because definitely you are a stakeholder. You have to continue spreading the message that also really people get to understand that the issue related to medical, maybe waste disposal, are very, very much addressed, because people really sometimes dump these garbages anyhowly, and we want to see all these tendencies addressed. Because if you look at the medical bill, it's quite good. I welcome it and also support it, because it is going to act as a solution that is to the waste disposal that is in the city. Because if you look at what has been happening right in the region, maybe in the regional city, that is Arua City, because Arua City is a regional city which we all want to see and cherish, and we want to also live in an environment that's livable. Because if you really continue maybe with what is happening in the city, where people sometimes defecate on the drainage paths, where people dump their garbages anyhow, where people dump their caveras anyhow. These are things that really will make the city unlivable for us, and really we shall not be able to really also enjoy living in the city. And at the end of the day, that would also really be very, very bad. And really I want to call upon people now to ensure that they also take up the issues of garbage disposal very, very much seriously to themselves. Because if at all they do not take up the initiative of, first of all, protecting themselves maybe from poor garbage disposal, the law is coming up and the law is really going to catch up with them. And definitely we are also really going to see that the implementation may be very harsh. And that is already a reason as to why people need to now desist from tendencies of poor garbage disposal, which is now going to be addressed by the law. And yesterday we did see the legal office of the city, that is Henry Rodama, also taking up the authorities, which among others included that the market vendors. We did see also the city leadership also in the meeting as well, and the meeting that was chaired by the Damsam County LC3 chairperson, that is Ndasam, also already attracted a number of people also to attend that meeting there. And we are yet following up on that meeting and really want to see the final resolution, because that is also to engage before the law is passed, maybe the ordinance is passed. And that is something we want to say needs to be maybe passed very soon, because the leadership needs to support that, because we want to see Arua City just like our neighbors Gulu City, which we have always compared ourselves to. Because if you look at what is happening maybe in our neighbors Gulu City, this is a clean city which the leaders have often raised maybe the bar where they have also compared themselves to, because this is also a regional city that is for Choli sub-region. And we want to see all these cities, maybe northern Uganda, being very, very much clean, because we want to at the end of the day see a city that is livable for all of us, maybe where we will also not see outbreak of diseases. Because if we continue littering the garbage as we have seen it being done, we risk also contracting several diseases, which would also make people waste a lot of money at the end of the day, where our lives would also already be very, very much affected. And that's something we are yet following up on. And with the medical waste management bill, we are going to be seeing that ordinance once it is passed. It is going to address these issues that we're talking about, and that's something we want to see maybe addressed, and we want to see also really answered. Because let all the stakeholders not fight the law, because if you really see some of the politicians, where we have also seen the blame very, very much going to, because people have said sometimes the laws are very good, but some politicians also really fight the laws, and they do not want to see this happening. And that's also a reason as to why they do not support these initiatives. But now we want to see the implementation very much key, because recently during the work that is by the city authorities to enforce that is street vending, we did see them working very, very much well. And this is something also where we did see the stakeholders uniting. Chamber of Commerce was also in support, and they have been appreciated for that, because sometimes we have seen during enforcements, some of the politicians have been the ones also really affecting the progress of these government programs. And that's also a reason as to why now the ordinance is going to be addressing that. Now moving after that, now let's look at what is happening in the world of security. Starting off, that is with Luzira government prisons, which is also really facing that is relocation. So many people have also been able to share mixed reactions about the same, and MPs have questioned that is Luzira relocation project. And that's something we did see members of parliament talking about the same. And parliament has deferred its decision, that is to determine the fate of Luzira government prisons, where government is planning to extend the facility with an investor to develop the prisons into a modern 5-star hotel. And Honorable Jonathan Odur told journalists that the recommendations that the parliament will pass can easily be challenged without a motion presented presented before Parliament, and that's something we are yet following up on. And State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, also represented the Parliament government's plan to relocate that Luzira prison sitting on that 260 acres to a private investor in exchange for building a modern hotel and a business facility in Kampala. That is something we are yet following up on. And really, do you think that Luzira government prison needs to be relocated from where it is? Because we are saying that land is prime, because all these things are within city centers, because people believe sometimes prisons need to be out of city centers, and really Luzira is also an area that is now developing, and I believe that area also needs, maybe because of its location, because if you look at maybe how Luzira is located, Luzira is just a few meters and also located just a few distance that is from Lake Victoria, and that is a reason as to why some people could be also really wanting to establish hotels there, because if an hotel is maybe established in such a place, definitely the demand and the market will be very, very much high, and that's also a reason as to why an investor is now in that area and wants to move the facility to another place, so that also really a 5-star hotel will be able to be established then. Really, what do you think about that? Is it worthy for us to also really move an hotel, maybe move a prison, maybe, and also really exchange it with an hotel? Definitely, that is also really entirely in your hands as a viewer. You can also really share your opinions on that. But State Minister has also really confirmed that where the government is also really planning to move, that is the government facility that's currently sitting on the 260 acres. And we did see also really Honorable Nambos yesterday also really commenting about the same, where he says government needs to first of all come out clearly and also really establish the boundaries, where a committee needs to be also established, so that already the boundaries of the facility is established, and that's something we want to see. And in his submission, David Muhoozi told journalists chaired by the Speaker Anita Mong that the facility is congested, and that's something, a reason as to why they need to move now the facility in an area that is very, very much big, and that's also a reason as to why we want to see. And the facility that is also really congested compared to plan, that is 1,923 prisoners, where today it is carrying over, that is 8,790 inmates, which is really above what is its capacity, and that's a reason as to why now they intend to move that facility away from where it is currently sitting to another area, and that is something we are yet following up on, and how it will end. Definitely, we shall be able to certainly inform you as this matter continues to develop, because this is a developing story, and we shall be able to certainly inform you when this matter climaxes, and maybe if at all Parliament could pass the idea of this prison maybe to be moved from where it is. That is something we shall be able to remind you of. And this coupled with the dilapidated structure of the prison compared to the surrounding developments, Major General says it makes it imperative to have a prison moved away from the area where it is. And however, the minister's statement to allocate the facility to a private developer was challenged by the members of Parliament, cautioning the developer's financial capability, with others termed the project as a financial scam, that is to steal government funds. Because really, these people have also given an example where if a prison facility was to be moved, that is the Chirinya prison was supposed to be moved from where it was, that is to Mukono, but after maybe the deal being able to be finalized, update the facility is yet to be developed, and the developer has disappeared. And these are things that maybe to why the MPs are raising their queries on. And really, what do you think about that? That is something we are following up on, and also we want to remind you of that maybe that, and you can also still share your opinions on what you think that we need to discuss on the show here as well. And that is something we shall be able to continue with in the second hour. But as we continue with the show, remember, so many issues have been happening, where we are seeing now Minister Amongi calling for action. That is ahead of also the International Labour Day. Remember, very soon the International Labour Day will be celebrated, but really as to why we need to also really see to that maybe the answers, or maybe issues related to the pleas of the workers is concerned, maybe addressed, and that's also a reason as to why the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, that's Ms. Betty Amongi, has called for urgent need, that is to address labour justice and safety challenges that is among employees also really in there. And Mr. Amongi said May Days, the Maiden Days commemorated to appreciate the contribution that is of workers to national development, and raise consciousness on promoting and protecting workers' rights, and reflect that is on improving workers' welfare, safety and healthy, also really as a matter to addressing that issue there. And this year's celebrations will be held under the theme that is improving access to labour justice, a prerequisite for increased productivity, and that's also really the theme for this year. And Amongi also said it resonates with the fundamental human rights, and she addressed the challenges faced by workers, including unfair dismissals and unfair working conditions, stressing the need that's for collaborative efforts to pave way for the brighter future in there. And that's already a reason as to why this year's Labour Day celebrations will be celebrated, and these are the factors also already maybe where among also needs to see that more emphasis is put on. Minister Amongi said the government has been making significant strides in establishing that an environment and enabling legal and policy framework for addressing that labor complaints and disputes, aiming to enhance that is also really access to labor justice, and that's something we are following up on. And remember, this day will be celebrated, and we also want to see maybe the same day commemorated up to the district level and maybe city level, because this is a national day, and that's also something we are yet following up on, because this is really a day that will be commemorated internationally. We want to see maybe the whole of Uganda also really commemorating this day, because we have so many workers working in different platforms, maybe working with different, maybe government also really and private organizations, and all this also really need to be talked of. And meanwhile, during the news briefing at Uganda Media Center on Wednesday, the minister announced the commemoration that is also really of the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, and also she noted its significance, also in drawing attention to emerging trends that in occupational safety and health also really hazards there, and that's something we are yet following up on, and we want to see maybe this day also really being addressed up to the district level, and the ministry's achievements in this regard, such as that is also the workplace inspection and the launch of occupational safety and health management information systems. And despite the strides, the minister acknowledged ongoing challenges and urged proactive steps that is to address them. And she pledged the ministry's also the commitment that is to building safer and healthier work environments, and invited all Ugandans to join in the celebration, and that's something we also want to see. And with the upcoming celebrations, the initiatives planned, the ministry's aims that is to honor workers' contributions, advocate for better working conditions, and that is what brings us to the end of the first hour. And this is Kokoliriko live on West Nile Television. In case you're just joining us right now, you are most welcome aboard, but really we are heading for another short commercial breather, and when we bounce back, we shall be continuing with other topics. Stay tuned.
Duty bearers and
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.